FM. I am DJ Zwane. And this is the Hijack. Thanks for hanging out. Doing it on a brand newish. It's a few months old now. But we're doing it differently because I had to switch up how I podcasted, broadcasted, etc. Putting everything into my own DJ Zwane channel to having its own separate channels for their own separate topics and types of shows. So now, if you like the talk radio stuff that I do, the podcast stuff that I do, rather, you can go to the Hijack the End, or you can go to Irreverent the End. And soon enough, I'll put that all back on the End FM here shortly. It's just been a real hectic couple months here. But as it stands, this is where you can join the conversation on here, on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Twitch. If you are listening to me on my YouTube channel, the DJ Zwane YouTube channel, this live stream of the Hijack is only temporary here until I gain the followers that I need. So make sure to follow me on the Hijack the End on YouTube. That would be solid. That would be awesome. So thank you for doing that. If you do, if you don't, then you clearly just don't like me, and that's fine. Not everybody has to like me. I'll tell you this though, something I don't like. You see that? Transition, baby. That's what we in the business call a transition. One thing I don't like right now is the cold snap going. Now, don't get me wrong. Typically, I love cold weather, and I actually kind of like it now, but the problem is that I don't like shit. I don't like doing much work when it's really cold like this, and I'm sure I'm not unique in that. But you know, there's been a kind of a cold snap here in Florida that I've not seen in a really long time. The first time that I remember it being under like 35 degrees when I moved here from the Dominican Republic was when I was like 9 or 10 years old, and it was on Halloween. And the reason I remember it is because I decided that I wanted to be a werewolf for Halloween, and it was like 32 degrees. So that was poorly planned by a 10-year-old, and my parents are immigrants, so they were just like, yeah, man, whatever, just don't yourself and don't do something stupid, which is a tall order for a 10-year-old. All that to say, we had the most extreme weather. The last 30 years, we've had the hottest and coldest days. Like, it's kind of like the world. It's kind of like Earth is telling us that something's not right. Some things are a little off. It's kind of like Mother Nature is telling us there's something wrong and you need to fix it. This next administration is very anti-science in a lot of ways. In most of the relevant ways, they are anti-science. With that, we need to be much more vigilant. And honestly, vet your doctor. One of the over 100 executive orders that Cheeto Mussolini decided to sign yesterday in front of a crowd. Like, this guy wants to be, I agree with Colbert. He wants to be a TV personality so bad. Dude, you did it. You did it already. Like, just, anyway, I can't believe we're doing this another 4 years. So, just be more vigilant. Be vigilant about all of the information about the way your diet, your both your physical diet and your information diet, because we are about to enter a landmine of information age. You're going to have to figure out who your sources are going to be, because all the major ones, and we're going to talk about this a little later, one of the major things that we have is the concentration of where everybody gets their information. And last time, you know, in the before times, it was different back then because it was TVs, and there was a handful of TV stations and radio stations. And then that became a little bit more common, and then deregulation happened, and then all the big ones bought all the little ones, and so now it's like back in the 90s, the deregulation that happened when Clinton was around. That happened, and we as a country just saw everything get concentrated. Again, something that we're going to be talking about a little later. All this climate change, the LA fires, that's another indication of climate change. And people are blaming homeless people. And I think immigrants or immigrant homeless people, it's like they take buzzwords and put them together and make like an Uber word to describe a scarier thing to them. To them, the scariest thing is a homeless immigrant. And it blows my mind that people look at what's going on around them, the fact that the last 30 years we've had the most extreme weather we've ever had on record, and they're blaming homeless people with matches. That's the reason. Well, what about last year and the year before that and the year before that and the year before? Are you telling me that these homeless people are that good at arsonists that they are able to burn down thousands and thousands of acres every year? You have a fire season in California. How about the hurricanes? Are the hurricanes that's clearly the immigrants' fault because the hurricane comes from out of town. So it's clearly the immigrants' fault. That's easy to blame the immigrants on. Was there a homeless person out there going, screw you rich people? Sure, probably. Is he the reason that we have such a bad situation when it comes to fires, that there's a fire season? They are saying the LA fires are going to affect the insurance industry as we know it. Oh, no. I know. That's the first thing I thought about was like, oh, no, the insurance industry is about to get hit. That's not what that means. When the insurance, at this point, our government is bought and paid for by those same insurance companies. Again, something there's going to be a theme today. The theme is economics. Like, here's the thing. The thing about blaming homeless people, blaming immigrants, blaming whoever, it doesn't matter what you think. Science doesn't care about your political party. Science doesn't care that you have a house on the water. It's just not relevant. Not relevant to science. It's not relevant to what's actually going to happen. So insurance companies now are saying that the fires could change the insurance industry insurance as we know it. They've already pulled out of California. They pulled out of Florida because of the hurricanes. That's why I hate the scummy insurance industry. And I know I have friends that work in the insurance industry, and I also have a brother that works in DOD, another industry that I think is parasitic. So, like, I'm sorry. And I know that there are times when, look, the rank and file people that work for these industries, those aren't the people that I'm blaming. Because, yes, in a small way, I blame those people because they've furthered the damage that insurance companies, in this particular case, have inflicted on poor people. So their job is to get you to pay rates, and the way they make money is finding a way to deny your claims. It's the reason that Luigi with the squeegee came out, may peace be upon him, and it's the reason that most Americans can't afford a $400 emergency. The LA fires could change the insurance industry. The fires raging in the Los Angeles area could cost as much as $250 billion, with a B, in economic damage and become one of the worst natural catastrophes that the United States has experienced. That is roughly what Hurricane Katrina caused in economic losses adjusted for inflation. According to AccuWeather chief meteorologist Jonathan Porter, total losses from the fire could approach 4%. 4% of California's GDP, dude. 4%. For the insurance industry, the threat of massive and profoundly destructive wildfires does possess a significant and immediate problem, one that could reshape the wildfire market and insurance for other major natural perils. Of course, they've already done it here. They already did it in Florida with the hurricanes. Look at this. It's about to say that. So, while climate change is causing more powerful storms, hurricanes, even big hurricanes, are frequent enough that the insurance industry understands them and can manage the risk well. Yeah, manage the risk well, a.k.a. leave the state. So wildfires, on the other hand, didn't become big by insurance standards until 2016, which pales in comparison to the centuries of since 2016. Huh. Yeah, no, it's probably not climate change. No, definitely not. Which pales in comparison to the centuries of experience we have with hurricanes. Size isn't really the problem here. It's size by sunrise, now faced with the prospect that this fire alone could cost insurers more than $30 billion. Okay. That's what we pay insurance for, dude. It's clear that the current system is going to struggle to contend with increasingly destructive events like this. If only there was a way we could stop these increasingly destructive events to happen. Customers need wildfire protection, and insurers need to find a new way to provide it. Or, I don't know, maybe we can talk about something like this not being privatized, or possibly another way where the primary motive isn't to make money and to deny, defend, and depose. I heard that somewhere. Anyway, so yeah, the insurance companies are getting a bad rap, rightfully so, because as soon as it's time for them to pay money, they want to leave. That's what happened here with the hurricanes, man. And it'll happen with earthquakes, and it'll happen with everything else as it progresses and gets worse. That's just what happens, man. The insurance company's main job is to make money. They are one of the 4 destructive forces of this country's economy and eventually the demise of this country. Something that we kind of accelerated on January 20th. By the way, January 6ers, who just got pardoned by Cheeto Mussolini, Pumpkin Spice Palpatine. So the insurrectionists got pardoned. Insane. I know one of them, too. That's not even the scariest part, at least for me. The executive orders that Cheeto Mussolini was just signing, a couple of them affect me specifically. We'll get to that in a little bit. Let's see. This is back to the fire article. One solution could be parametric insurance. This is a niche form of protection. Why are we fixing insurance with more insurance? But let's continue. This is a niche form of protection that has gained relative popularity in regions where major perils have made it difficult for insurers to provide full protection. Parametric insurance pays a predefined amount out when a specific type of event reaches a predetermined magnitude. Like a Category 5 hurricane making landfall in Miami. Think of parametric insurance as filling the hole in the donut that opens when peril is too difficult for an insurer to cover. It's simple and highly effective. So this is like, essentially, just give us more money. If we charge you more money, we just call it something different. That's gonna fix that. Just pay us more money. Bitch, if we had the more money to spend, we would have just done that. Not on insurance, on actual things that actually fix the issue. Anyway, this is the worst timeline. Everything changed in 2016. Let's see. Insurers generally have considered wildfire to be a secondary peril, meaning that it threatened less financial severity than the likes of tropical storms and earthquakes. While secondary perils can certainly impact an insurance company's financial performance, they are less likely to erode an insurer's capital base or pose an existential problem. How the insurance industry looks at wildfire risks began to change in 2016. The Fort McMurray wildfire in Alberta caused $4 billion Canadian dollars, approximately $3 billion US, in losses to the insurance industry by making it the most damaging wildfire event on record in Canada or the United States at the time. And that was in 2016. And now, in 2017, wildfires in California were responsible for $14.6 billion in losses, much less than the $92 billion losses caused by Hurricane Harvey, Irma, and Maria that same year. More severe weather. How about that? I wonder why that's happening. I wonder why. Could somebody tell me why that is happening? I'd love to know. My God. So yeah, between the wildfires, the extreme weather, it's in the friggin' 40s in the middle of the day in Central Florida. Like, how insane is that? How insane? Like, and it's damn near February at this point. Like, we're supposed to be on the other side of this, at least here. And these snowbirds are definitely not feeling great about this. I'll tell you that. They were trying to leave the snow, and now they're fucking here. It's like you brought the snow. Beat it, snowbirds. Go back up. Let's bring it local. Speaking of Florida, sad news for local millennials, as the Seminole Town Center Mall is set to close at the end of the month. This is out of My News 13 here locally. Shout out News 13.
Town Center Mall, it will be closing at the end of the month. That's after a new developer known as the Gilbane Company did not finalize a purchase contract. Sanford leaders say new ownership is expected to come in the next few months.
Yeah, we've heard a lot of talk about this, changes with this mall. Our Destiny Wiggins joins us live from Seminole County tonight. And Destiny, what does this all mean for the current store owners?
Yes, well, Curtis, those store owners will no longer be able to be inside the mall. I did speak with one of the owners, Locksmith Escape Games, who says that they were told just this week that the mall would be closing on the 31st. Now, he says that the business was already struggling due to the decrease of foot traffic in the mall. He says that he remained hopeful, but now he's closing for good.
This did come as quite a shock to us. We knew the mall was declining. Obviously, the traffic of the mall over the years has been slowing down since COVID. And, you know, financially, we did take on a lot of risk, so relocating at this time is not feasible for us.
Amir Nazari is a programmer by trade and previously made escape room software for a company in Orlando. He then saw an opportunity to open his own escape games at the Seminole Town Center Mall 5 years ago.
This is our gun and storage room.
His business will now close by the end of the month as the Seminole Town Center will be redeveloped and repurposed. Sanford officials did not say if the mall would be completely torn down, but says new signage will be up within 2 months.
Under new management, and those kind of signs will be the first step in the revitalization that's long overdue. This revitalization was due 10 years ago. We're going to make it happen this year.
Elevate, JCPenney, Dillard's, and Dick's Sporting Goods will remain open for business and will be part of the mall's redevelopment plans. However, other tenants like Amir are forced to leave.
But in the short term, as a condition of this sale, the interior of the mall has been required to be emptied for that new ownership group.
Lassard says some of the tenants are moving right across the street to continue business, and the city is working with them to assist in relocation. But Amir will close up shop on the 25th.
This was my first business. You know, we started as a family, we're ending it as a family, and, you know, I couldn't ask for anything better.
Yeah, you could.
Now redevelopment.
How about you stay? That would have been something better to ask for. Not that it's your fault, but man, I mean, that's a hell of an optimistic way to look at it. You know, shout out to you. But good Lord.
Plans for the mall include retail, restaurants, a hotel, recreational use, as well as a residential component. Now, I also did reach out to the current owner of the mall. He said he had no comment at this time. Live in Sanford, Destiny Wiggins, Spectrum News.
Wow. Okay, so it's closing up, but starting back up later. That's what I guess it's saying, that they are. Well, we'll see what happens. I like the residential component of it. That's pretty cool. That's a really cool. That's a really cool concept to have that. I think that it would actually help. But yeah, that mall is one of my childhood malls. It was that one and the Altamont Mall. Those are the two malls that I grew up going to. And then there was like the Florida Mall sometimes, and the other malls out there, the one on Aloma, the Oviedo Marketplace Mall, which was the other one, and then there was one on Colonial. That mall, whatever that mall was called or is called, that one is still going. They're all very sad though. Like the halls don't have AC. That was Seminole Town Center Mall when when the Seminole Town Center Mall stopped having AC in their in the hallways, like people would have to, if you were a tenant, you had to pay for your AC there. Like you had to pay for like an AC, like a stand-up AC, like one of those little stand-up ones that you have. It's very, very weird. That's how you could tell it was bad. Now, this new revitalization, we'll see what happens. But yeah, they were supposed to. He's right in the fact that they were supposed to do this 10 years ago. 10 years ago is when this thing would have helped. 20 years ago is when it should have actually happened. But anyway, in other local news, Southern Nights owner indicted on child prawn charges. Good Lord. Richard Kowalczyk, owner of Southern Nights in Orlando and Tampa, and his romantic partner Eric Patrick have been indicted. Oh, I didn't know they were romantic partners. I just thought they were partners, like business partners. Have been indicted on multiple counts involving child pornography. Oh my God. I didn't. This is updated since I last checked it out. The indictment, handed down by a federal grand jury December 18th and filed January 2nd, charges Kowalczyk with conspiracy to entice a minor, attempted coercion and enticement of a minor, 2 counts of receipt of child prawn, and possession of child prawn. Patrick is charged with conspiracy to entice a minor, attempted coercion, and distribution of child pornography. They both very clearly engaged in predatory or deviant sexual behavior towards minors. The indictment from the United States District Court, Middle District of Florida, Orlando Division reads, the behavior went on for years, demonstrating their acts as intentional. According to the indictment, Kowalczyk was engaging in graphic exchanges in the messenger platform Telegram. When are people going to understand that just putting it on Telegram isn't going to help you? With an individual named in the indictment as suspect under investigation in conversations occurring between April 16th and August 15th of 2022. Kowalczyk and the individual accused and the individual discussed past sexual encounters involving minors, including exchanged images and videos featuring minors suspected to be as young as 7 years old. Oh my God. The investigation led law enforcement to seize Kowalczyk's iPhone on February 8th, the same day as a search warrant was executed at Kowalczyk's Orlando residence where he resides with Patrick. Law enforcement seized electronic devices belonging to both Kowalczyk and Patrick. According to the indictment, investigators found 83 images and 2 videos saved on Kowalski's iPhone of child exploitation. Some images are minors under 12 years of age. Jesus Christ, dude. Further search of Kowalczyk's electronic devices. This is out of Watermark Online, which is an LGBT news source. The worst part about this is the kind of stuff that Bible thumpers, that's the type of accusation that they love to bring up. So be on the lookout for that. I'm waiting already for the spiritual bigots, I guess you could call them if you want to call them that. And especially in this climate. So we need to be really careful about that because these scumbags decided to do something that, ironically enough, the Catholic Church has been really guilty of for a long time, and I just want to see the same. I want the same energy of disgust on everybody that does this kind of stuff, regardless of what your spiritual beliefs are or not, or your sexual orientation. This is absolutely disgusting. There is such a desire to demonize the LGBTQ community in religious circles when they're guilty of stuff like this. But these scumbags and anybody else that does this kind of stuff should have the life that they deserve. Let's just put it that way. That's the only thing that I'm able to say without getting into probably trouble. But I did see that the club is now the scumbags were bought out, so the club is not owned in any way by Kowalczyk or his romantic partner. You can rest assured that you can keep patronizing Southern Nights and District Bar in there. I think they have 2 sister bars, so they are no longer involved in that, in those endeavors. There is a lot of this type of stuff happening. There's a combination of things between this type of stuff where people are accused and are guilty of doing horrendous stuff, and I'm saying they're innocent until proven guilty. I get that, but at this point, the evidence is pretty friggin' overwhelming. There's this influx of people doing or getting caught. I'm sure they were doing it for years, but getting caught doing awful shit. And unfortunately, I've seen this happen more than once, just in the last few weeks, where people are, in this case, criminally called out for what they've done. Between the people being canceled and big companies buying everything, it's a concentration of businesses. And it's all just the same shit. And most people don't understand how incredibly concentrated everything is. We're going to look at a video that I found very interesting, because here's the thing. Those of you that know me know that I have a little brother, and we discuss financial things, political things all the time. And to give you context, he and I are pretty different. He is a career Navy CB who turned recruiter, who loves the Navy and the military. He falls on the conservative side of the spectrum, whereas I'd left that side many years ago. About 14 years ago was when I left the right, I guess you could say. My brother, being surrounded by not just, military, but conservatives for most of his life, including insurrectionists. So, as you can imagine, my anarcho-communist views are scary and in some cases dumb to him. But when I break it down and say things like, so I think we should have universal health care. And he says, yeah, but people need to be educated about how to eat healthy, and then we can give them health care. Now, this is obviously coming from a place of never having to deal with what most Americans have to deal with on a daily basis. Meaning, our income doesn't come from, our income doesn't raise with inflation like it does in the military. Our jobs aren't funded by such a lackadaisical department that they can't even pass an audit while still getting more money every year. And the reality is that many people that are in my brother's boat, either via the military, inheritance, generational wealth, etc., those people don't know what it's like to have, and it's not a knock on them, and it's not hating on them. It is just something. It's I don't know what it's like to get bombs lobbed at me. I don't. I went to a military school. It was very safe. I learned how to work with guns, and I was in 6th grade and 7th grade, and that was it. Nobody threw bombs at me. Nobody did anything. My brother has had that happen to him, and he's done a lot of. He's always had a good intentions with everything. I never question whether or not his intentions are good, because I always believe, unless he and I are arguing, I believe his actions are all in good faith, or they attempt to be in good faith. And because of that, he's also a very much pick yourself up by your bootstraps type person, even though that is a physical impossibility. You can't pick yourself up by your bootstraps if you are wearing the boots. It is you can't do that. So, but his response, his automatic response is these people. Because of the fact that he doesn't have that, and I'm using him as a placeholder because I love him and he's my brother, and I know that he knows that I don't think he's a bad person by any means, but people have this mentality, and he is a good example because he is a good person that has good intentions and is intelligent. So he at least has the ability to understand some of what we talk about when it comes to the plight of people because of the wealthy. But he underestimates the effect that the wealthy have on the poor. And as a result, and I say, hey, most people can't afford a $400 emergency, people like him will say something to the effect of, it's because most of them are irresponsible. That doesn't make any sense. This is obviously coming from a place where if you haven't had the fear of a layoff during at any time in the year, but especially during the holidays, that is a level of anxiety that I don't wish on anybody. When I say something like, do you think we should have universal health care? He'll say, people need to be educated. Yeah, they need to be educated, but they also need to be given the thing. Like, you need to start from a healthy point, financially, physically, etc. Like, you start from there, and then you're like, okay, don't fuck it up, and this is how you don't fuck it up. We're going to teach you how to make it work. But we don't have that. And the arguments from the more conservative types like him is that, well, we need to have that in education, in the educational system. And I agree with you. I don't need to know what the Pythagorean theorem is before I know how to do my taxes, or how credit works, or how to buy a house, or what an APR is. I don't need to know Ohm's law until I can put together a proper grocery list that is healthy and nutritious and cost effective. Then you can teach me about Pythagorean's theorem. Then you can teach me about how current works and how resistance works. So in that regard, we agree. But what I disagree with is that they have to learn it before they get it, because that's not how it works. When you have a level of cortisol in your brain that like makes you erratic and makes you crazy and makes you make bad decisions because you're anxious, anxiety creates cortisol in your brain, which lowers your IQ. It literally lowers your IQ. You perform worse when you are like that. And so you need to eliminate that. You need to eliminate the fear of having to be homeless. Do you have any idea the number of people that I've spoken to that would go out and ditch their 9-to-5er, but they can't because somehow, for some stupid reason, our healthcare in this country is associated or is attached to our jobs for some stupid reason? The amount of explanation that you need to give to a European or somebody that in another developed nation, any other developed nation, that has free healthcare because they're not spending all of it on bombs to blow up brown people on the other side of the world. By the way, temporary ceasefire happened, and already Pumpkin Spice Palpatine said that he doesn't believe that the ceasefire will hold up. You have any idea how infuriating it is to have your freedom dangled? I don't know. But I can only imagine it is infinitely more infuriating than the way corporations run this country. The people that have the means to live a comfortable life and are still living paycheck to paycheck because of their own doing, and I'm saying this based on a conversation that I had with my brother, but less than 5% of the people that are suffering are doing it completely from their own, out of their own volition. And I know people like that. I know people that have way much money and they're still living paycheck to paycheck, still late on everything, still doing that. But that is not even close to the majority of people. The majority of people cannot afford a $400 emergency. This is actually a video that I sent my brother. It's an interesting take on this whole on why things are so concentrated. But before I do, I'm going to ask you a question. Most people can't afford a $400 emergency. So who, in your opinion, bears most of the blame for the most part? The majority of people. Is it the financial industry, which controls healthcare, housing, the economy, wages? They buy elections. They write laws and in the expense of us, of people, of the poor? Is it the educational system for not teaching children about financial literacy? Is it the individual? Is it their own fault they can't afford it, even though they were set up to fail? What is the percentage? That's my question to you. What's the percentage of blame here? Let's check this video out.
This might come as a shock to you, but big companies are getting bigger. Rich people are getting richer, and vital resources like housing, business equity, food, and even water are now owned by a smaller share of people than ever before. Groundbreaking journalism, I know.
Yeah.
But what most people don't realize is just how concentrated this has really become. Private equity now controls as much as 20% of the entire U.S. economy.
20% of the U.S. economy is owned by private equity, is controlled by private equity. But please tell me that the reason that most people can't afford a $400 emergency is their own fault. Is only their own fault. It's the majority their own fault.
Top index funds now owns 20 to 30% of all major companies listed in America, and even good old-fashioned fraud is getting bigger and more concentrated. And who can blame them? Economies of scale have encouraged businesses to scale markets, responded to too big to fail by becoming too big to fail. But what does this actually mean for regular people? There is the moral argument that so many resources being controlled by such a small few is, unfair. But let's be honest, you've already made up your mind on that, and no YouTube video is going to change it one way or the other. Instead, what actually matters here is how much further this can go, and what happens to markets when these people have nobody left to sell to but themselves.
The last quarter, you were able to buy, looks like a little bit more than 1,500 homes for $656 million.
These investment companies, they want to make money. That's what they're there for.
Outrageous is your tax dollars are helping Wall Street buy up single-family homes. You're subsidizing Wall Street.
Water Asset Management is a Wall Street investment firm with offices inside this building in New York City.
That as water becomes scarce, Wall Street sees profits.
Elon Musk, the world's richest person, is now the first person to have a net worth surpassing $400 billion.
Water has got Wall Street's greedy hands in him. Nestle, the guy from Nestle, the CEO, doesn't think that water should be a human right. The CEO of Nestle doesn't think water should be a human right. Yeah, it's not all CEOs. Not all CEOs are in danger. Not all CEOs should feel in danger. Just the ones that exploit the poor and natural resources, obviously.
Finance, just like hedge funds were in the 2010s, and sometimes for a good reason. Average people have been told to hate them. Insufferable Wharton grads want to intern with them, and the industry is making more billionaires than oil, real estate, and even technology. The question is, are they creating value or just extracting it? These alternative investments used to be exactly that, alternatives. But the private equity market has changed in just the last 15 years from a small niche that was popular with a select few families to one of the biggest asset holders in the world. Because private equity is private, it can be hard to accurately estimate just how much capital is controlled by these firms. But a report published by the management consulting firm McKinsey & Company estimated that it was over $13 trillion as of June of last year. Given general market conditions and fundraising, it's likely to be even higher now. Now, there is nothing actually that special about private equity. It really just means any investment made into a business or security that is not listed on public markets. So if you invest $1,000 in your brother's farmer's market stall, you are technically a private equity investor. So, make sure to slap it on the LinkedIn profile. So the reason that private equity got so big so quickly has nothing to do with it being an amazing investment or anything silly like that. It's purely the result of a financial system that has become too concentrated. The American economy, finance, and business activity are all much bigger than they were in the 1990s, but the number of publicly listed companies has actually gone way down since then. In fact, it's almost halved in the same time the economy has tripled in size.
I want you to think about that for a second. The economy has tripled in size, and the number of companies have halved. Number one, that's not sustainable, but how does that not sound off any bells?
Now, one big reason for there being less publicly listed companies is simply because bigger companies have been acquiring smaller companies at record rates, making for a more concentrated business environment with fewer companies overall, which is, the whole point of this video. But we will actually get to the consolidation later. There are also fewer companies IPOing in the first place, because there really is no need to anymore. Companies list themselves on stock exchanges to raise money from the public, hence why it's called an initial public offering. But the general public just doesn't have that much money anymore. The wealthiest 10% of Americans now own 93% of all publicly listed stocks. The vast majority of capital flowing into public stock markets comes from people or institutions that are rich enough to invest in private equity, so the regulatory and reporting burden of being a public company just simply isn't worth it to get access to 90% of people who all collectively own just 7% of the market.
That is insane.
93% of stock ownership is largely held through retirement accounts, which are handled by funds which can invest into private equity as well. So for most companies, it just doesn't make sense to go public anymore. Now, alright, so what? People have slightly fewer options to ape their life savings into on Robinhood. Well, apart from that, this trend, which has only really been going on for 15 years at this point, is really causing a lot of problems, and costing you a lot more than you realize. The first issue that doesn't get nearly enough attention is how they have created micro-monopolies. When you think of monopolies, you are probably going to think of giant companies that own entire markets everywhere across the world. Like, well, you know, YouTube. But a much more common type of monopoly has started to become a bigger problem. These are small, local monopolies. One of the hottest new private equity investments has become youth sports leagues. Little League is a great investment because firms can buy up all the sports in a local area and create a monopoly on competitive team activities. And nobody wants to be the parent that denies their child the opportunity to go and touch grass with their friends.
I remember Lake Mary Rams football here, when I was a kid, cost $100 to be a part of it, and I thought that was a lot of money. This was 1991. I wonder how much it costs now. My little brother probably knows because he played football. But I thought $100 was so much money. And I would rather spend it on like a guitar or something like that, which the guitar that I got, I think, was like $250 or something. But
according to a report by the Aspen Institute, these local leagues are collectively a $30 billion industry, and they are becoming more expensive as they are consolidated by private equity firms. Now, this is just one particularly scummy institute. These local leagues are collectively a $30 billion industry, and they are becoming more.
For the Village's owners, it is a booming business with registration fees just under $1,300 per player. Holy crap. Before selling a single milkshake for $10, hot dog for $7, or engraved baseball for $25. What is happening?
More expensive as they are consolidated by private equity firms. Now, this is just one particularly scummy example, but creating local monopolies is just a good business strategy. It's not technically legal, but the Federal Trade Commission just doesn't have the manpower to identify and enforce these thousands of local issues when they don't even really have the resources to go after the most obvious monopoly.
And in these next 4 years, the FCC chair that we had that was actually out doing stuff, cracking down, obviously being replaced. What was her name?
These subtle consolidations have changed how and where we spend our money, but it has had a much more serious impact on how we earn our money. So it's time to learn how money works to find out if it's possible to reverse the concentration of everything. Firms is that it makes it really hard to see what is actually happening in our own economy. Public companies have to release regular financial statements, and their market value is updated every microsecond as their stock is traded. As more of the market is held by a smaller group of investment firms, it gets harder to tell how these businesses are performing and how they are being run. John Coates, a professor of law and economics at Harvard, recently released a book called The Problem of 12, When a Few Financial Institutions Control Everything, which addressed exactly this problem. Specifically, he mentions that pension funds have found private equity very attractive, and since most pension funds are investing on behalf of regular people, it can be very difficult for those people to see how their money is being used since there are two financial institutions between them and the business they are actually investing in. Coates also speaks about the concentration of capital in index funds like Vanguard, BlackRock, and State Street. He doesn't highlight the usual criticism like Larry Fink being a lizard man that secretly controls the global economy. But he does raise the issue that the way these financial products invest money makes normal price discovery much harder and also incentivizes getting more concentrated. Something like Vanguard's VOO ETF just mindlessly takes investor money and puts it directly into the weighted average of the 505 stocks that make up the S&P 500. And yes, there are actually
505 in the S&P 500. That's interesting.
5 stocks in the S&P 500 because some companies list Class A and B shares. Finance bros aren't very good at naming things. This means that a large share of investors are just investing in whatever has the most investors, which has just helped contribute to immense valuations of companies at the top of the market. The amount of investment capital concentrated through these investment managers means that they now have significant influence over company shareholder votes, and new products like ESG or green ETFs can have more influence over board decisions than they really should have. There will be a link in the description below to that book if you are interested in reading the whole thing, though you should know it was written for MBA students at Harvard, so it is a little bit dense. He also gave a half-hour interview just last month available here on YouTube, which is also worth checking out. Another big problem is corporate debt. Most of the biggest private equity firms in the world use what's called
this right here. This part here reminds me of a scene in Goodfellas, and I will play it after this.
A leveraged buyout. This is where they will buy a whole lot of companies, get those companies to take out big loans, and then use the borrowed money to pay themselves back so that they can go and buy even more companies. This normally involves a lot of cost cutting in the business so they can make their repayments. But on a wider scale, it's contributed to the record levels of corporate debt that we have in America today, which as a percent of GDP was only higher during the first wave of PPP loans, and just after the global financial crisis. Businesses always want to get more concentrated. It's the natural order that big businesses will acquire little businesses or put them out of work.
So this is, this is what that reminds me of. Tell me how this is different than what these firms are doing.
Now the guy's got Paulie as a partner. Any problems, he goes to Paulie. Trouble with the bill, he can go to Paulie. Trouble with the cops, deliveries, Tommy, he can call Paulie. But now the guy's got to come up with Paulie's money every week, no matter what. Business bad? Fuck you, pay me. Oh, you had a fire? Fuck you, pay me. Place got hit by lightning, huh? Fuck you, pay me.
What if I get one of those TVs? Nah, I'll be stuck. You've been breaking your heart.
Also, Paulie could do anything, especially run up bills on the joint's credit. And why not? Nobody's gonna pay for it anyway. And as soon as the deliveries are made in the front door, you move the stuff out the back and sell it at a discount. You take a $200 case of booze and you sell it for $100. Doesn't matter, it's all profit. And then finally, when there's nothing left,
fucking shame.
and you can't borrow another buck from the bank or buy another case of booze, you bust the joint out. You light a match.
Help reaching anything?
You look like you're decorating a Christmas tree, you fucking prick. You don't know what you're doing.
And that's it.
From the 5 towns.
What? Who?
Who? Did you?
To put it simply, Amaranth is a woman.
So that is what that reminds me of.
The rise of private equity, the proliferation of passive index funds, low interest rates, and the flaccid approach of regulators has only made this natural process much faster. But this still isn't the worst part. Corporate concentration has made finding competitive job opportunities extremely difficult, especially for people in smaller communities that have had local businesses quietly rolled up by large investment funds. The best way to get a higher salary as a worker is to switch jobs for better opportunities. But if you are a plumber and all of the plumbing businesses in the local area are owned by the same holding company, you aren't going to be able to negotiate like you would with competing businesses. Now, if you think you could get around this problem by starting a business of your own, well, actually it gets even worse.
Yeah.
In an article published by the Washington Post, Lillian Salerno, a healthcare entrepreneur, spoke about her difficulty in bringing a new, safer medical syringe to the market because businesses up and down the supply chain had become highly consolidated, so they didn't want to work with a potential competitor even if her product would have been better for patients. This is technically anti-competitive practice, but again, regulators are understaffed and underfunded. It's even worse in highly scalable industries like technology. The most important thing that early-stage investors now look for in startup companies is an exit strategy, which is just business speak for who is going to buy this company if it's successful. Those buyers are either a few of the industry top players or a private equity firm. The result of this is that only companies with the highest potential to scale and the best opportunity for acquisition actually get funded. Which is why places like Silicon Valley have gone from making technology to solve the world's problems to writing algorithms to keep you watching your phone for an extra 20 seconds a day. A blog post written by Ross Bears, who is ironically the president of a venture capital firm, called this the stagnant pool of American entrepreneurship. If you wanted to start a company tomorrow, you probably wouldn't know where to start, especially if you had to go and raise capital from professional investors. There are programs like Y Combinator that incubate early-stage companies, but access to these programs is highly competitive. The people that have the connections and experience to get these businesses started also know that the best way to run these businesses is to just build it so a bigger business comes along and buys it.
That's it.
The people that have felt this the worst are the tech bros. An entire generation of people were told that if they just learned to code, they would have a stable career for life.
Yep.
Go and watch my video on the rise and fall to find out how instead
So yeah, that's something that we have been told. That's something that I was told growing up. Work on computers, work on tech. And I did. I worked in IT for a little while, and it was fun, and then until it wasn't. And then it wasn't fun anymore, and I left. Not uncommon. In this particular case, after I left, shit's apparently gone downhill since then, unless you learn to code, and even then, basic coding has been done by robots at this point, AI. All of this concentration, it comes from private equity and the finance bros, and ultimately the tech bros too. The tech bros are in some ways guilty as well. But the tech bros wouldn't be that way if the finance bros didn't poison the well with, look at how much money you can make. Then these nerds decided to get revenge on everybody else. Now you have people like Elon Musk doing yatzee salutes, and you have Elon simps defending him. It's a Roman salute. That's what I heard. It's a Roman salute. Yeah? Who made it famous? Was it the Romans? Also, go ahead. Do it. I want you to do it at work. I want you to do it at home. I want you to, not at home. I want you to do it out in public. Do that salute in public. Do that gesture in public. And tell me how it goes. Because I think that if you did it in Germany, you'd get arrested. And the fact that we are even having this discussion is insane to me. It's insane to me that they think that they're going to gaslight us into thinking that he was not doing a Yahtzee salute. We are living in wild times, ladies and gentlemen. There's going to be, and I've seen this from some leftists. This is why I'm saying it. I expect it from right-wing people. I expect the misinformation and the bad information from a lot of the MAGA right-wingers. But I've seen a lot of left-wingers posting things that are just flat out not true. So there's a ton of real, actual scary stuff that the right wing is doing, like birthright citizenships. One of the executive orders that Cheeto Mussolini decided to sign yesterday include birthright citizenship, which means that if your parents were not born here, if your status, regardless of your regardless of your parents' status, if you were born here, you're an American. And that's been the case for over 100 years at this point. But now he wants to end that. Why does he want to end that? It's a racist thing. They don't want anchor babies. Technically, I'm an anchor baby. I never thought that we were going to get Roe v. Wade overturned. So I'm not going to say that I don't think that we won't lose our birthright citizenships because of this guy. It's insane to me. If you made under $500,000, if you are a woman, if you are a minority, if you are a marginalized group in any way, shape, or form, and you voted for this man, you voted against your interests. You played yourself. Don't know what to tell you. The norovirus. That is the newest installation. These things are dropping like, I don't know, Drake singles, I think. I don't know. Dropping like they are the hottest new song. Like they are DJ Khaled. Another one. This one was ravaging around New Year's Eve.
This morning, a holiday health warning as cases of the norovirus surge.
Norovirus decided to be our last little Christmas gift.
New data from the CDC shows an increase in outbreaks, with 91 reported in the first week of December across 14 states, more than double the number for the same week over the past 3 years.
Is there any reason why we're seeing this rise?
Gathering together, especially this time of the year, and all the traveling we're doing, that's causing the increases.
The highly contagious virus, commonly referred to as the stomach flu, can cause days of vomiting, gastrointestinal problems, and fever.
I promise you, you do not want this.
The recent rise comes as multiple states reported new infections in December. In Minnesota, health officials say the number of outbreaks are twice what they usually see. California officials also investigating an outbreak involving 80 people who became ill after eating raw oysters at a Los Angeles food festival. And on 3 different cruise ships operated by Holland America and Princess Cruises, more than 300 passengers contracted the virus. Norovirus can be spread through direct contact with an infected person, touching contaminated surfaces, or eating contaminated food.
If you have been sick with this, I'm sending you all my love because
It's no joke.
Now, with millions expected to gather for New Year's Eve celebrations, health experts say it's important to take precautions. Wash produce thoroughly, don't share utensils, and don't rely on hand sanitizer.
You know, we all have this around the house, the hand sanitizer. This does not work very well for norovirus. You need to wash your hands, that 20 seconds we always talk about.
Dr. Torres went on to say that if you are not feeling well, the best thing you can do for others tonight is to essentially just stay home. And one thing about this virus, it can stay in your system for up to 2 weeks. So even if you're staying and feeling better, you can still be contagious. So make sure you monitor those symptoms if you are feeling sick.
This is just going to keep going. This is not going to stop. We have another 4 years of the administration that was denying the coronavirus, then denying all kinds of stuff, saying things without any proof, becoming bigots and racists because of this virus that came out of the Wuhan Institute of Virology. And look, it looks like we are in for, between RFK being the health secretary, Pete Hegseth, he is our defense secretary. This is a cartoon. I know that it is a tired example, but this is idiocracy. I hate it here. So be careful, take your meds, and hold on tight, because the next 4 years are going to be rough. Rough if you believe in science, rough if you believe in equality, rough if you are a marginalized group. Hell, rough if you were even born here, but your lineage doesn't go far enough. How rich is that? Pumpkin Spice Palpatine is wanting to end birthright citizenships. This is out of BBC News.
And that's what's happened today in Seattle. So the first legal challenge to Donald Trump's attempts to end birthright citizenship. The judge who sat on this case, brought by 4 states, said it was a blatant, flagrant breach of the Constitution, Amendment 14.
Well, yeah, I almost think that flagrant might actually be the right word because it's that bad, that egregious. I think that's the point, that Trump is really, I think a good question if you're trying to understand Donald Trump's behavior is, what does he think he can get away with? And he's trying to get away with as much as he can. And I think that Trump is taking a interesting new approach to the Constitution, which is to say, I decide what it says.
Can I put it? I think we've got it on the screen. Let's just put it up. It says, all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. No state shall make or enforce any law which will abridge those privileges or immunities of citizens in the United States. It is a blatant overriding of the Constitution.
It has always widely been considered as such. However, here's the tricky part. It's that language in the middle, and subject to the jurisdiction thereof. The executive order is going to say that only covers a person born here if at least one parent is a legal resident or citizen. And believe it or not, even though this has been around since 1865, the Supreme Court has never actually ruled on the depth and the breadth of birthright citizenship under the 14th Amendment. Now, clearly, Donald Trump, he knew his executive order was going to be stayed. He is playing for a fight here.
So he's going all the way.
But why is he playing for a fight? Can I actually add something to that? Because as far as I know, this executive order is interesting. They could have gone slightly smaller, still totally unconstitutional, but they could have tried and said, we will only say if both parents are unauthorized immigrants, then their kids aren't a citizen. Instead, they actually covered people who are here with legal authorization. The argument that we say, I'm not a lawyer, but I'm a human. The idea, and I speak the language. The idea that we say, if you come here, we've authorized you to come here. You're under our jurisdiction. And also, you're not under our jurisdiction by the Constitution. It doesn't take a lot of imagination to see why that's a little ridiculous.
Yeah. If this birthright citizenship, I might be a person that gets kicked out, even though I was born in arguably the most American state, Massachusetts. And I would still possibly subject to be kicked out.
And I think it's an example of how far they're trying to go. This is not just about undocumented immigrants or unauthorized.
That's the other thing. What he's saying is very true. He is overestimating so that when they get pushback, they can seem like they've made concessions, when in reality, they weren't trying to. Now, if they got it, they would, just like with Roe v. Wade, they would be like, oh my God, what's going to happen? Because the practicality of only illegal immigrants out is going to hurt economically. I do believe that we should be paying more money to the people that are picking our fruits and veggies, and to the people that are doing all of the labor. It's not for any other reason than they are people too. Not only are they people, they are doing the work. And I don't care whether you have a year-round tan or you have a melanin deficiency. If you work a 40-hour week in these United States of America, you should not be housing insecure. You should not be. You should just not have to worry about where your next meal is going to come from if you're spending 40 hours working for a company paying poverty wages while they are getting record profits. And that's true in all sectors. And one of the ways that they do it when it comes to blue collar work is they bring in immigrants illegally from other countries, Central and South America mainly. Now, the other thing that's happening is the H-1B visas. Now, the H-1B visas are a little different. By some people's standards, the immigrants that come in through H-1B visas, which are the visas that allow people like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos to hire engineers from other countries at wages that American people would never agree to. And so they're like, okay, we'll just find other people that are highly skilled, and we're going to underpay them and hold citizenship over their heads. And I know people in my own family who love the H-1B visa stuff because they benefit from it. They're able to pull immigrants from other countries and underpay them. There's the argument of the immigrants that commit crimes. Look, if you're a violent criminal, you should go to jail, regardless of where you're from. You should go to jail. If you're a violent criminal, you should go to jail. That's just, yeah, duh. That's on the very short list of things that cops are actually supposed to be doing. The birthright citizenship thing it's asking for 15,000 when you really would take it at 10,000. That's what's happening here, and this guy hit the nail on the head. That's all it's happening. That's all it's doing. And I got another question for you. If you are of the people that voted for him and say, that'll never go through, what did you say during Roe v. Wade? Now, the pro-lifers are like, oh, well, we wanted that to happen. But the Trumpers that are pro-choice, which I know there are plenty of, oh, I didn't know that was going to happen. What about Floridians? How do you like not having your prawn? I know that there are a lot of people that are pretending that, oh, this is a great thing. Yeah, it's great. But how many of you have VPNs now? How many of you have learned about virtual private networks? This is, by the way, the administration here is supposed to be the freedom, the administration about freedom. But it's always think of the kids. Whenever politicians, whenever anybody says think of the kids, and you look at the school shootings that happen here as often as they do, I can't take you seriously. I cannot take you seriously if you are saying, well, what about the children? Let's go ahead and remove porn from Florida. Yeah, what about the children? That's the reason you're doing it? No. It's because you don't really believe in freedom. And anybody who follows that, anybody who's in favor of that lunacy, can if the shoe fits, wear it. Now, let's finish this one real quick.
Immigrants. This is about immigrants in general, including, by the way, Donald Trump's father would not have been a citizen under this law. And neither would, I believe, Usha Vance, J.D. Vance's wife.
Or Kamala Harris, for that matter, because her
Harris.
mother was here on a student visa.
Yeah, I don't know that Trump would have minded that one as much, but yeah.
I think Trump supporters would point out, though, that just because that's the way we've treated it since 1865, if my family, if my wife and I had a child in England, that child's not a citizen, right? No other country does this. And so what Donald Trump is saying, look, yeah, is he being aggressive? Absolutely. Is he pulling for a fight? Absolutely. But maybe it is time that our Supreme Court actually decide what exactly does this language mean. And maybe it means exactly what it looks like, what it appears to be. But it's time to call exactly what it is.
Much more.
So what that guy is saying is not necessarily that he agrees with Donald Trump, but that No other country has that. I mean, I don't know if he does. I haven't watched the full thing. But if he says that it's very vague, I don't think it is. I think that we've been dealing with it right for 100 years plus, and I think that plenty of the people who are advocating against said who are advocating in favor of removing birthright citizenship, most of them wouldn't be here if it weren't for an illegal immigrant giving birth here. So the level of hypocrisy just keeps going up and up and up, and the goal keeps being moved because that is what they do. They don't change the goalpost, they change the game. They change the game because there is not there's not a way to logically come to the conclusions that they do without sounding like stupid, sounding like a bigot, sounding like you are uninformed and that you listen to whoever gives you any information. So when people told me that Elon was doing a yatzee salute, I was like, okay, this sounds like some liberal hyperbolic stuff, because as much as I consider myself very much a leftist, I can tell you that there are some times when my fellow leftists kind of go a little overboard with their stuff. They do. I understand. People get heated. The right is way more guilty of it, though. Like the whole, we're going to misinform you into things. And really, usually, when it comes to the left, the people that are being misinformed or saying things that are slightly off or maybe very off are doing it because, number one, the right wing has been so cartoonishly evil over the last 10 years. Longer, but just outwardly evil during the last 10 years. That it sounds plausible. And when you say somebody did a Yahtzee salute in the middle of a presidential event, somebody who was at the inauguration sitting on stage with the other richest people on the planet, when this man did that and people called it what it was, you know what? No, we're gonna look at it. We're gonna look at this video in its full context. This is a 38-second video, which has the entire context of him doing what he did. Okay? The full context is here. We're going to watch it. And then I'm going to tell you whether or not I think Elon Musk is a Nazi. Let's watch.
You know, there are elections that come and go. Some elections are, you know, important, some are not, but this one this one really mattered. And I just want to say thank you for making it happen. Thank you. My heart goes out to you. It is thanks to you that the future of civilization is assured.
Okay, so that was Musk doing the thing that we thought he did. Now, I've watched this video a couple times, and I was trying to think of is this guy really one of them? Is this guy really a fan of mustache? What context, if a left-leaning politician did anything close to that, it would be over. I know people that are like, oh, no, he did. It wasn't a salute. That wasn't the Hitler high. Who looks at that and says, no, that's not what I think it is? I want him to do that in Germany. But speaking of which, after he did this salute, he went to Germany's far-right party and on stage talked about how you shouldn't be ashamed of your grandparents. You shouldn't be ashamed of your grandparents. Dude, do you know who their grandparents were? There are a few plots of land where saying you don't have to be ashamed of your grandparents, you mean a certain thing. One of them is Germany. The other one, Argentina, by direction of Germany. And I know plenty of German people, friends of mine that are like, yeah, he would have gotten arrested had he done that. Had he done that in Germany, he would have gone to jail. You know who thinks it was a salute? The people that like that type of salute. The Nick Fuentes of this world. They were like, oh yeah, that's definitely a salute. But Do I think that Musk is a yatzee? No, I don't think he's a yatzee. I think he's a Meeseeks. One of my best friends in the world told me something that made me realize that he's a Meeseeks. They keep saying, oh, he's autistic. Yeah, you know what? He is autistic. Sure, whatever. Number one, he hasn't been diagnosed. People are just assuming that because he's weird. He's not that smart. I've never seen somebody wanting to be loved so badly. Never in my life have I seen somebody so thirsty with so much money. That shows you can't buy confidence, you can't buy being cool, you can't buy any of that. Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos are a perfect example of that. And why is he a Meeseeks? Well, a Meeseeks, for those of you uninitiated, is a visiting character, a guest character from the show Rick and Morty. And we're going to watch just a little bit of what a Meeseeks is. Okay? We're going to explain what is a Meeseeks.
This is a Meeseeks box. Let me show you how it works. You press this.
I'm Mr. Meeseeks! Look at me!
You make a request. Mr. Meeseeks, open Jerry's stupid mayonnaise jar.
Yes, sirree!
The Meeseeks fulfills the request.
All done!
Wow! And then it stops existing.
Oh my god, he exploded!
Trust me, they're fine with it.
Ah, Mr. Meeseeks! Look at me!
Shield me from the law!
Yes, sirree!
Stand down!
Look at me!
I want to be popular at school.
Ooh, okay. In conclusion, a friendship with Summer Smith is the most valuable and enriching experience of your young life.
So basically that's what a Meeseeks is. It's a servant that does what you want it to do and then disappears. A perfect slave. Now you ask, why is Elon Musk, why are you calling him a Mr. Meeseeks? He is Trump's Mr. Meeseeks. You see, Trump wants a distraction, and he tells Elon, go out there. Maybe not directly, but he makes it known that he wants him to be a distraction. And if this guy is as socially awkward and takes things as literally, whether it's by autism or otherwise, if he takes all of this so seriously, so literally, he will go do anything to get attention, to get the attention off of the birthright citizenship, to get the attention off of any of the other things that he wants to accomplish. So Elon Meeseeks Musk is Trump's Meeseeks, who is basically saying, I want him to be a distraction. And that's his thing. The other thing is, a Meeseeks, their existence is pain. Have you ever seen somebody less popular than Elon Musk? More alone than Elon Musk? More starved for attention than Elon Musk? I want to know. Do you know anybody else that is that thirsty with that much money? I don't know about you, but if I had that much money, well, number one, I'd fucking fix world hunger and do all of the things that he could do and still not lose any of his lifestyle. I would do that. But on top of that, you would not hear, you probably would hear from me, but I wouldn't be doing this kind of stuff. Obviously, I did not own, or I did not inherit an emerald mine and steal a bunch of businesses. So I guess his differences, our differences are many. So, and there are so many people bending the knee from the MSNBCs of this world. By the way, MSNBC, their ratings have dropped like a shit from heaven. Those guys are in need of some serious help. And I think that it's going to happen to everybody that bended the knee this time around. The Joe and Mika from MSNBC, anybody that talked crap about Trump, from the top down, including Biden, who was saying he was an existential threat after Kamala loses, it's like, welcome home. Because to them, the monicum of decency. Yeah, money by chance? Yeah, definitely money. And yes, Elon is the biggest clown. He's a clown for a number of reasons. He gets caught time and time again. He gets caught as much as Trump did when he said he had his publicist. Remember that? Yeah. Now, I mean, that's Elon. It's hilarious to me. It's insane to me that so many people have bent the knee. The Village People played the inauguration. Snoop Dogg played a party. Like, what are we doing here? Snoop Dogg, what the fuck is wrong with you? The Village People? For real, dude? I mean, like, look, the guy knows how to take a meme and commit to the bit. That's for sure. You can never say that about Trump. Commits to a bit more so than any radio morning zoo guy I've ever met in my life. I've never met somebody that sticks to the bit as much as Donald Trump does. It's freaking wild. But get ready, because it's going to be, we're going to be laughing a lot, but we're also going to be crying a lot, because there's going to be a lot of pain that happens because of this. And sadly, after Elon Meeseeks Musk is done distracting and done doing what he does, he's not going to go away like a regular Meeseeks, unfortunately. That's unfortunate. That's the most unfortunate part about all of this. And this, the next story is a little bit more into the in the DJ world, but it covers politics too. I don't remember how to say this person's name. I think it's Threelau. Threelau or Lau? Blau? I don't know. I forget. I've always seen it written. I've never, anyway, it doesn't matter. Deadmau5 calls out Threelau. We're going to call him Threelau. For DJing the Trump inaugural ball. Threelau responds, "I stand by my choice." This is out of Billboard magazine. So Deadmau5, who is a controversial figure in EDM, because he says a lot of sideways shit, but and he doesn't filter, and he's okay with calling people out. He's okay with being a shit stirrer. So he called out Threelau on Twitter. Deadmau5 has some choice word for electronic producer Threelau in response to a social media post from the latter artist about playing an inaugural ball for President Trump earlier this week in Washington, D.C. On Tuesday, Threelau pronounced Blau. There we go. I thought it was Blau. Pronounced Blau posted images and video of the event alongside an Instagram caption that said, 5 days ago, President Trump's team reached out because they needed a DJ for the inauguration afters. Playing Starlight Ball was not on my 2025 bingo card, but I mean, wow, what an honor. I was so nervous, and I got to play for 30 minutes, but holy shit, achievement unlocked. On Twitter, the producer shared the same images and video and wrote, "Yesterday was a huge leap forward for crypto. It was an honor to be a small part of it, DJing the POTUS afters." Born Justin Blau, the producer has released electronic music as Blau since 2013. He's also a well-established tech advocate and investor. In 2021, launched Royal, a blockchain-based platform investing in music rights. The timing is crazy. Blau's caption continues, "I know I've been quiet for a long time, mainly because 2025 is going to be the biggest year yet for both my music and Royal." The comment section on the inauguration day post, currently the only post on the Blau grid, is a mixed bag of feedback with Deadmau5 among the thousands of commenters on Instagram. The Canadian producer pointedly wrote, "Here's the best takeaway. Not a single person in that entire dumb administration has ever known who the fuck you are, or even gives the remotest shit about you. And you certainly won't be remembered by any of them. But everyone in this business will remember that you stood behind Nazis and convinced felons who would further marginalize the very people who gave you a platform. What very little respect I had for you is gone. So glad you got some drink tickets out of the deal. Enjoy them, you Nepo piss baby." I'm on Deadmau5's side in this one, for sure. In response, Threelau wrote Friday, January 24th on X that, "Since playing the ball, I've received backlash from several prominent members of the music community. While I anticipated some pushback, the intensity of the response has been far greater than I expected. A matter of fact, I am a proud American," the statement continues. "The freedoms we have in this country make it possible for me to pursue my passions, whether as a founder, a CEO, or a musician. My pride should not be used as a vessel for other people's anger. That is exactly what the behavior that divided us. I am unwavering in my decision to focus my music on my work, on my things, blah, 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 to push forward. This might not always be aligned with a single party, but progress comes from working together, not against each other." All of this bullshit... I believe firmly in both free speech and the acceleration of tech innovation. These principles have been integral to my identity. I also see crypto blockchain technology as a monumental force essential to our future as a nation, forces that the previous administration opposed. This is all just a word salad from Threeblow or whatever the hell his name is. Do I have any Threeblow music? Hold on, let me check. Because I know I have. I know I've heard the name. If Blau showed up in front of me, I could not tell you who he is. If Deadmau5, I could tell you who Deadmau5 is. I can tell you who most or a lot of these artists are. But Blau? No, I can't tell you who Blau is. My work computer, Serato, and seeing if I could find some Threeblow in this thing. I was thinking about this. What would it take for me to play a oh, how about that? I don't have any Threeblow. I don't have any Threeblow. I am out of Lao. Let's see if I could find what is his big track? Does he have a big... Let's find out what his biggest track is. He does look kind of like... He does look like a chode. Oh, this guy. Threeblow. Let's go. Let's go into his Instagram. Look at this. Look at this guy. That's a hell of a party to DJ for drink tickets, bruh. My man was playing for drink tickets. That's hilarious. That is so funny. I want to find his music. Threeblow music. Let's see. Songs? What songs? Tokyo. Better With You. Touch. Punk Right Now. I mean, some of these look familiar. Let's bring up Tokyo. Yeah, that sounds very, I don't know. It sounds like, what's his name? Marcus Schultz. That's what it reminded me of. Marcus Schultz. It's like, it's fine. It's one of those that I think Threeblow is like, what we call coworker music. Music that is safe for coworkers. As long as you don't look at his politics. So, speaking of songs, last night, hanging out with one of my close friends, and I'm drinking soda out of a whiskey glass. And she goes, "What are you drinking?" I was like, "It's just Diet Coke." And she says, "Coke in a Scotch glass." And I said, "Coke in a Scotch glass sounds like a song, like a folksy song. You know, or it could be a very like high energy song if it's like, you know, the other kind. But I thought of it like a Coke in a Scotch glass, like a very gloomy, like chill kind of thing, right? Like a very chill type of song, maybe folksy with a guitar. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna see if I could get an AI to write me a song. I'm going to see if this AI will write me a song. And I'm just going to give it the title. I said, write me a song called Coke in a Scotch Glass. And it took 2 minutes maybe. And it gave me 2 different versions, one with a chick and one with a dude. And this is what it sounds like. This is all AI.
In a dimly lit bar, he holds his drink, Coke and Scotch mixed, a memory link, gentle to sway like old forgotten songs, whispering tales of days that once were strong. Each sip reminds him of love once shared, memories Memories dance in his mind, not to be ignored. Scotch for the night, Coke for the day. In this glass, both blend a perfect display. Coke in a Scotch glass, a taste to pass. Nostalgia swirls in this darkened sky. Longing for what was in every swallow. Memories linger, in this drink they stay. He reminisces about laughter and light, days when life felt bright before the night. Scotch for the pain, Coke for the fun. In this glass, memories come undone. The bar lights flicker soft and low, echoes of the past in every glow. Coke and Scotch mingle in a dance so fine. In this glass, time seems to lie. Lost moments in time, captured in this mix. A blend of memories in this drink we fix. Coke in a Scotch glass, a taste to pass. Nostalgia swirls in this darkened sky. Longing for what was in every swallow. Memories linger, in this drink they stay. Coke in a Scotch glass, a mix of sweet and strong.
Wow.
Nostalgia swirls in this glass they belong. Longing for what was in every swallow.
This is too much.
Memories linger, in this drink they stay.
So that's the chick version. I have a dude version too. And this one was the first one I heard. And I'll tell you who it reminds me of and whose voice I think they stole after this.
In a dimly lit bar, he holds his drink. Coke and Scotch mixed, a memory lake. Gentle tunes sway like old forgotten songs, whispering tales of days that once were strong. Each sip reminds him of loved ones shared. Memories dance in his mind, not to be ignored. Scotch for the night, Coke for the day. In this glass both blend, a perfect display. Coke in the Scotch glass, a taste of past. Nostalgia swirls in this darkened space. Longing for what was in every swallow. Memories linger, in this drink they stay. He reminisces about laughter and light, days when life felt bright before the night. Scotch for the pain, Coke for the fun. In this glass, memories come undone.
I love that it recognizes the drug versus the Coca-Cola.
Bar lights flicker soft and low, echoes of the past in every glow. Coke and a Scotch mingle in a dance so fine. In this glass, time sings to a line. Lost moments in time, captured in this mix. A blend of memories in this drink we fix. Coke in a Scotch glass, a taste of past. Nostalgia swirls in this darkened space. Longing for what was in every swallow. Memories linger, in this drink they stay. Coke in a Scotch glass, a mix of sweet and strong. Nostalgia swirls in this glass they belong, longing for what was in every cell. Memories linger in this drink they dip.
This song, the second one, reminds me of my first thought was the Get Up Kids and Saves the Day. And then my friend said, how about, what do you think? I think that it reminds me of Death Cab for Cutie and the Postal Service. And that is I think that they stole that from, the voice. I think that's who they mimicked for that. But either way, I'm sharing this with you, number one, because listen to those songs. That was all done by machine learning, not AI, machine learning, because there is no such thing as artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence doesn't exist. That's called machine learning. That's what this thing is doing. And it machine learned 2 songs that sounded like a professional did it. That is so scary, and we are so cooked. But more than that, this should be a warning to you. When you see things online, when you see things being reported online, be careful. There's a lot of really actual scary stuff that is going to attempt to happen, and in some cases actually happen here in the States in the next 4 years. And some of it is going to affect us for the next 30. So we just need to be aware of that and be careful with the information that we're given, and be swift with correcting yourself if you screw up. Because there is too much. There's just too much. There is too much bad information out there for you to just dismiss it and just be like, whatever, it's whether, I hope this is true. I hate these posts online where people are like, I don't know if this is true, but you should check this out. No, you check it out. Before you spew any information, you figure out if it's true or not, and then you say it. So there's a ton of real stuff to share and be angry about. I hope you use it. I hope it is you use it sparingly, and I hope that these next 4 years don't treat you as badly as we expect. So let's hope for the best, but expect the worst. And until then, I think that we should just be kind to one another, and be resistant of bigotry. Because if we don't resist bigotry, if we don't resist the hate that we're about to witness, it's gonna be rough. It's gonna be rough for marginalized groups. It's gonna be rough for anybody who's making under $500,000. And if you're a marginalized group. So be careful, share good information, be safe, take care of one another. And we're going to do this again in the next month or so. And I'm going to be coming back a little bit later in a couple hours and doing some music. So follow me on the DJ Zwain pages. Talk to you later. Peace.